It's anguish and heartbroken.
We couldn't believe it because nothing had happened here.
Their life will never be the same ever again.
We will never know what she could have accomplished.
1 year ago today, a gunman shot and killed 19 students and 2 teachers inside Robb Elementary. It took law enforcement more than an hour to take down that shooter, despite getting on scene within just a few minutes. Tonight, we're looking back at that day, the impact, and what it means for us here in Central Texas. We begin tonight with a deep look at how our local schools are now changing. 25 News anchor Lauren Adams is in Temple to lead us off.
I'm here at Temple ISD, and the superintendent told me that his relationship with the local police department is #1. Superintendent Dr. Bobby Ott told me he has an excellent relationship with the police chief. He said following Uvalde, he gave Temple Police access to every camera in every school. Temple Police also have access to every door in every school within the district. He's made sure the numbers on each entryway at every school match the police. So if school officials tell police a shooter is at this school, door number 14, there's no confusion. All officers have a master key to every door in every school. And Dr. Ott told me there is no question who the lead agency will be if there is a school shooting. It's Temple Police. Dr. Ott also does weekly door audits.
So we do those every single week. So on campus, whether it's maintenance, administration, but somebody is doing an exterior door audit, we actually have logs of those, and they're required to be filled out and reported. If there's any malfunctions on any exterior doors, then those are sent in a work order and replaced immediately.
I also went to Waco ISD and spoke to Superintendent Dr. Susan Kincannon. Dr. Kincannon told me she's installed metal detectors in all middle and high schools to detect guns. New schools will have intruder-resistant film on all glass, and she's installing a character-strong program to focus on students' mental health, since many of the shooters suffer from mental health issues. Both superintendents said that the most important thing is getting more money from the legislature per student for safety so they can get more security guards inside the schools. And the best way you can help out at home is to call your local elected officials. In Temple, Lauren Adams, 25 News.
Well, anytime you step foot in public, security is top of mind these days. A mall, a school, parking lots, it really doesn't matter where you are. Experts say you need to pay attention now more than ever. It's a busy morning at this Central Texas gym. Most days are.
We have about 1,000 families.
Guy Beveridge is a co-owner of Gym Kicks. He's also a Coryell County constable, veteran, and security expert who makes safety his business.
It's everywhere. It's really everywhere. You can see Allen, Texas is just an example. A big open parking lot and just an active shooter there.
Allen, Texas, only weeks ago. Uvalde, Texas, 1 year ago. Santa Fe, Texas, 5 years ago. The list of active shooter massacres is growing in Texas and across the country.
National law enforcement response time is somewhere between 7 and 12 minutes. So you have to have a plan that helps you between that 7 to 12 minutes. That's after you call 911.
Guy says it no longer matters where you are or how old you are. Living in this country in 2023 means situational awareness. So listen up.
Whether it's a big box store or a child activity center like this or a school, pull over to the side, understand what the sounds are at that moment, what the smells are at that moment, what the sights are at that moment, and that should be your baseline. That should be what normal looks like.
Also, pay special attention to security and access points.
So we monitor the cars coming into the parking lot, we monitor the people coming up to the front door.
And while some buildings, like schools, are now often equipped with hardened classrooms, that isn't the case everywhere. A bigger environment like this.
So like first I said, we have to know where our exits are. We have exits here, over there, 2 down over there.
Bottom line, know your outs.
It's get out, lock out, take out. And it doesn't matter which one you pick. You just need to know the word out and then your relationship to the active killer or the shooter. And you pick the one that's right for you at that moment.
It's something they preach to the thousands of kids who train and compete here. Guy preaches the same to private schools and Fortune 500 companies.
Do they scan their outside parking lot? Do they have the ability to lock their doors if they need to?
Know your environment for your sake and the sake of your loved ones. So here's a timeline of how that fateful day played out. The morning of the shooting, the gunman stealing a vehicle and crashing it near Uvalde, near the school. That's when a teacher noticed the gunman and closed a propped open door. At 11:33, he entered 2 connecting classrooms. Police arrive, including the school's police chief, who does not have his radio. At 11:37, the shooter fires at officers, grazing one in the ear. The officers retreat for those 77 fateful minutes before one Border Patrol agent finally acts, killing the gunman by breaching the room. You might remember that the police chief, Pete Arredondo, faced some heavy scrutiny after that. He did not have his radio, and he said the shooter was barricaded, and he asked for a key during the shooting. He was fired following an investigation in August. A Texas House Committee report says he failed to act as the on-scene commander. He says he never knew he was that role and says the report was political and blamed DPS and its chief. Our in-depth reporter Nick Bradshaw made multiple trips to Uvalde and to the state capitol during the past year as families wanted change. Tonight, he has an in-depth look.
It's a story that rocked the country.
If we could just talk to one another when we run in the street and say, are you okay? What can I help you with? You don't look okay.
I think it's just really shocking. It's really scary.
In that petition, what does it demand?
It demands change.
This is the grandfather of 10-year-old Layla Salazar. She was killed in the Uvalde shooting. He now comforts children visiting a memorial for the 21.
Pretty hard.
And these are children. This is why I am fighting for them.
It was a fight that went to the state capitol. But defeated in the 2023 legislation.
I wasn't asking to take anybody's guns away, just didn't think an 18-year-old should be able to go buy an AR-15.
State Senator Roland Gutierrez led the effort for new gun laws in the state of Texas.
And these guys refused. We just asked for basic things. We weren't trying to take anybody's guns away. We just wanted to keep mentally ill people from accessing these guns.
With the right protection in place and everything, we can mitigate a lot of the damage. But when somebody really has no concern for what happens to them, that puts all of us in a really bad situation.
Tegan Broadwater spent years as a Fort Worth officer and now leads an effort to train people on what to do during an active shooting situation.
I think education is really the key. I mean, I know plenty of people who are in support of having guns, but also have had their go at experiencing them and decided they don't like them to the extent that they don't own them or want to have them around. And that's fine too. So a lot of it's just about educating yourself with an open mind. Again, we have to talk about the people that are not of the extreme opinion here.
He believes while new gun laws could help, but there's more.
Perhaps making it more difficult via the laws and the wait times and stuff, it might give someone pause, or at least make it so much more difficult for them to obtain a weapon, even though it's really not that hard to go buy a gun off the street.
Uvalde parents screaming and pleading.
On May 24, 2022, these families lost those who meant the most to them. They wouldn't see change in gun laws, but they commit to keep fighting. In Waco, I'm Nick Bradshaw, Scripps News.
Last week, State Senator Gutierrez introduced 21 resolutions in honor of the 21 victims. Today, senators were able to talk about honor and reflect on each victim in their chamber. The Senate held a moment of silence as well.
Members, if everyone would rise. And in the gallery, please. Thank you. This moment of silence for the tragedy in Uvalde and the families and the victims.
Lieutenant Governor Patrick there also releasing a statement a few hours ago. Quote, no Texas family should have to experience the grief that the families of the victims have faced. That is why this session, the Texas Senate passed the largest school safety package in Texas history. It has invested substantial state resources in increasing mental health care services. Speaking of mental health, experts say they are worried about those survivors. The University of Rochester Medical Center says a recent survey shows children are especially vulnerable. Victims of childhood violence are 40% more likely to suffer from PTSD than their other child counterparts.
Fears about personal safety rank
very, very high among the most common fears of Americans in general, not just kids. So we not only have the kids going to school, but we have the parents sending their kids to school. There's sort of a widespread kind of trauma of knowing the event has happened, seeing the impact, seeing the coverage.
The doctor says it's important to teach children at a younger age about their mental health and how to process those emotions.
This is the time. This is the time to build those skills because as life gets harder, as challenges arise, as they get older, they're going to have the skill set to be able to navigate life.
Waco ISD has spent much of the last year highlighting mental health in their student bodies. It's all part of their Character Strong program. Alicia Nespreto has details.
To ignore the distraction. There we go. What's another one, Isaac?
This first grade class at Hillcrest Elementary starts their day with playful activities.
Do you know what the word limit means?
But what they're really doing is much deeper than that.
It's just them playing at first, and then you ease into it, and so the lessons are very engaging. They have fun activities, coloring. There's little group activities and stuff. So they don't even know they're learning, but you're hearing them say this language.
It's all part of Waco ISD's new Character Strong program, aimed at teaching students about their mental health.
Through each month is a character trait, and so we have lessons behind it. The lessons are tailored to the grade level. In first grade, we're focusing on being able to identify emotions and how being creative can help with those emotions and stuff like that.
The district started this program on 14 campuses this school year, including here at Hillcrest Elementary, but they say it has been so impactful that they're planning to implement it on all their campuses in the fall.
Character Strong helps them to identify those feelings and also to identify some possible coping strategies. And part of what I'm seeing with this next generation that's coming up is their ability to talk about it. They are recognizing that things are not quite right, and they're able to verbalize that.
Chantel Gunnis has been a counselor at Hillcrest Elementary School for 5 years. She says the last few have been hard on children.
They may not understand the gravity of a lot of what's going on, but they listen to the news. They hear their parents or family members talking about the things that are happening. And so their perception, their interpretation of what's going on, it is affecting them.
With the COVID-19 pandemic and numerous school shootings taking over recent headlines, Gunnis says it's important to teach them about their emotions and how to cope during scary times.
Once you get to a point of feeling safe, something else happens. How do you navigate that? And that becomes even more of a challenge. But the good thing about kids is that you are able to explain things in a way to them for them to understand, and also to still let them know that they're still safe.
Being able to identify these emotions early on and find healthy ways to be able to channel them instead of lashing out or doing tearing up a classroom or doing something like that.
The district sends home newsletters for parents to learn about the program and their students' mental health. Counselors are also able to help families find outside resources if they need it. In Waco, Alicia Nespreto, 25 News.
I realize this is a really tough day for all the families. Remembering is important, but it's also painful.
The White House marking 1 year there with the President and First Lady offering some thoughts this afternoon. The Biden administration continues to push for more federal regulation and legislation. Earlier today, we talked with some folks in the administration.
As the president is continuing to make clear, it is absolutely not enough. When the president celebrated the enactment of the Bipartisan Safe Communities Act, even a little under a year ago today, he said we need to use that opportunity as an opening to do more.
The president also calling for a renewed federal ban on assault rifles. The effort to raise the legal age here in Texas to buy long guns failed this legislative session. A Central Texas group was on a 7-hour journey today to honor the victims. Temple-based Uvalde Foundation and its founder walked from Temple City Hall to Salado. They laid flags at the City Hall and gave a moment of silence before starting their trek.
If I'm honest, I still feel that we have left so much undone for these families. Before I'm a foundation founder or any title you want to attach to it, I'm a dad first. And I think that as a dad, you don't have words. Because I have heard the pain in the voices.
85% of donations from that local group go out to their larger program. Today, the group is 130 volunteers across the country working to raise funds for student scholarships and emergency aid in the event of a school crisis. A local school district postponing graduation because only 5 seniors could actually walk across the stage. Now there's a mandatory meeting with parents. That's coming up at 6:30 tonight. And the jury in the Cedric Marks trial reaching a verdict today in Bell County. Plus, we have more on Uvalde in our next half hour.
And it looks like we're going to primarily see this next batch of thunderstorms across northeast New Mexico die down across West Texas, and most of it should be to our west as we head into tomorrow morning. There could be a few isolated storms, though. We'll talk more about that coming up.